What's up, everybody, and welcome back to the Combat Corporation, your source of combat sports. I'm your host, Al the Postmaster Morrow. Today, I have a gear review on the Sanabul Gold Strike MMA Puffy Sparring Gloves 2.0. Alright folks, as always, I'm incredibly excited to bring you yet another gear review, and today I have a review of a pair of MMA sparring gloves, the 2.0 version to a pair of gloves I've actually reviewed about 2 years ago. Today we have the professionally popular, heavily picked Sanabul Gold Strike MMA Puffy Sparring Gloves, and I'm really excited to do this review because, like I said, I reviewed the first version about 2 years ago now. We're coming up on 2 years since I did that. That was November of 2022. I looked before I started recording, so we're coming up pretty soon to that. And I gave them a 10 out of 10. So when Sanabul let me know that they made a 2.0 version of these and they wanted me to try them, I was really excited to do so. And I'm also excited to say, as much as it was a fun ride, this is the last video of the Sanabul mini marathon that I was talking about earlier. Basically, if you haven't been watching the last few videos, they've all been Sanabul products because back in September, I bought myself all the MMA sparring glove lineup, and I wanted to basically break them in and review them all at the same time and try a marathon of the most popular gloves that Sanabul has. And on top of it, right after that, Sanabul sent me a couple boxing gloves. Zach from Sanabul, super cool guy. And then when he saw that I reviewed the original version of the Gold Strike MMA sparring gloves, he said, oh, by the way, we have a 2.0 version that Max Holloway and Sean O'Malley really tried to test out. Do you want to try them and review them? I said, absolutely, I'd love to. Now, just again, like I do with every other video, just because gloves were sent to me, guys, does not mean that I was paid for or there's any incentive for me to give any type of, BS review or lie to you about stuff, because for one, I would never mess with anything that I wouldn't like mess with when it comes to this sport, and that is my health, my training, and my money, because those are very valuable assets, and if any of those three get messed with, I'm an unhappy camper. The other thing I will say too, at the end of the day, when it comes to a brand as big as Sanabul that has millions upon millions of sales, they make a lot more money than I will ever see in my entire life. And on top of it, I am a small YouTuber and a very small undefeated professional with a 2-0 record on the regional New England scene. Compared to some of the biggest names that they sponsor, such as Alex Pereira, who is a light heavyweight champion and former middleweight champion in the UFC, BMF champion Max Holloway, bantamweight champion Sean O'Malley, welterweight contender Gilbert Burns, Hall of Famers like Michael Bisping, former champions like Tyron Woodley and TJ Dillashaw, and I can go on, the list goes on and on. The amount of people that use these gloves in particular, like John Jones, Dricus du Plessis, a bunch of other people, everyone that I've named has been a champion or has fought for a belt, by the way. They don't need me to really kind of push my opinion on these gloves. Trust me, I could say that these gloves were horrible and I could throw them out in the trash and say Sanabul sucks, and it wouldn't change one person's opinion at all. Honestly, I really don't believe that because I'm just not as big as those guys. So at the end of the day, no, I do this as a passion project. I can show you my bank statement. I don't make a lot of money as is, and even what little money I make from the channel goes right back into the channel for a new pair of gloves. So with that said, once again, 100% straight shot review. And with that said too, let's go ahead and get into the review, starting with the exact model that I have in front of you today. I have the white coloration. They also have them in black, like the old ones I had were in black. And you can get them in 4 different sizes. Unlike every other MMA sparring glove by Sanabul, which goes small/medium or L/XL, you actually have small, medium, large, and extra large. In this case, I got the extra large size in white. And like I said, I also had the extra large in black last time around. And as you can see, these gloves held up pretty well, except for the Velcro did eventually pop off, like I said it was going to in the last review. I just have to get them stitched. I just haven't, and honestly, I have to test so many different pairs of gloves. As much as I love these, I had to test so many different ones, but I do really like these, just like I've liked these so far as well. But that's the model that I have. You can get them in 2 different colors, white and black, same gold outline on the outside, and you get them in 4 different sizes: small, medium, large, extra large. The way I word it, if your hands are very small, get small. If they're a okay size, get medium. If they're somewhat bigger, get large. If they're very big, get extra large. Very simple way to figure that out, or just like as you would buy mittens from Walmart. Even if you're getting winter mitts, find out what size those are, translate that to here in a lot of ways, honestly. But when we come to the look of the glove, we can talk about the outer shell being that nice ice white, and it looks like nice bling material, and I like how that looks. You got that nice cool gold Sanabul logo, and you also have a sweeping line going from the base of the knuckle all the way up to the top, with the little gold square there. Now what the squares are for, couldn't tell you, but they are there. Might be a symbol inside I don't know of. But I like the sweeping lines that Sanabul does on a lot of their stuff. The rest of the glove is that nice ice white color, including the stitching throughout the glove. The piping is also all white that you can see here. The palm and the interior lining is all black, which really complements the white as well. But you can see here, the stitching here a little bit up towards the top is black. And then you also have the black interior lining on the thumb as well. Down here you can see it says "Fight for it," which is one of their slogans. There's also "Obtain your ability," but "Fight for it" is really cool. That's in gold lettering. And then on the side here you got another sweeping line. It says Sanabul in a nice shiny gold with another gold square going down here. When you open up the glove here, you can see that the interior part of the strap is black. When we open it up even more, the interior lining is more black. And then there is a tag that is super creased on the outside. If I can get it out to show you, I might not be able to all that well because my fingers are so big. There we go. It says XL. Oh, I lost it. There we go. It says XL right there, and that tells you what size it is. Now when it comes to the build of the glove, just like the original, it is made out of the same high quality engineered leather that they call it. And the engineered leather, guys, is basically a man-made vinyl, because Sanabul, like every other product they have, does not use a leather product. They use stuff like grape leather, cactus leather, engineered leather, which is basically a vinyl that you can, it's kind of like the same ones you can go to Lowe's, like pull out rolls of it for like vinyl flooring. It feels like that. It's basically a plastic cloth, if you want to call it that. But that's basically what you got going on there. On the whole outer shell, it is all that nice vinyl going on there. One thing I don't know too, this is completely off topic, I don't know white balance that well. Whenever I have a white pair of gloves, notice how my whole outline is just gone now, which is crazy. Still kind of cool though that the glove is so highlighted. But that's basically what you got there. The whole outer shell is that nice engineered leather, and it has a very grippy engineered leather texture, and it feels very similar to actual leather. It feels very similar to, like, if you've ever tried a Hayabusa T3, it feels kind of similar to that type of microfiber composite leather. It feels really nice on the back of the glove and on the entirety of the surface. Also very easy to clean because it is a man-made leather. The padding is what they would call their Durasoft padding, which is what they call for most of the gloves that they have out there. If you've ever tried virtually any MMA sparring glove, even if you've tried like the Combat Corners or the, you know, some of the Fairtex ones, the Combat Sports Max Strikes, the Venom Challengers, it's virtually the same padding. It's your IMF Tech foam type padding, which is, some people call it ringside padding. Basically what it is, it's one solid mold foam that they inject with gel, and it mitigates impact. The only thing is about this padding, although it says it's their Durasoft padding, it feels more like a molded foam. You know, it's definitely one solid piece, but it feels more like a soft molded foam that actually has layers to it, although I do not believe it is, because you can't really feel where any of the layers would split. When you push in, it feels like it's one solid piece getting crushed inside, which is fine, and it's also very padded and protected. Now, the one thing I will say about this glove, though, is that the padding on this one compared to the original is a little bit stiffer. It's not so soft compared to the other one. It's actually kind of firm. I'd say it's like on the medium firm scale compared to the other one. So the padding is still soft enough to spar in for sure, but it's definitely a little bit harder than the other one. It still breathes very easily and snaps back for good impact absorption, which is good, and it cradles all the right spots of your knuckle, which is nice. The other part of the glove that's a little bit stiffer that you'll notice is underneath the door hinge style of knuckle, which is always good for MMA sparring glove. It basically allows your hand to openly, or to freely open and close for good grips, for good punch position as well. But the back of the wrist, for one, it kind of pikes up a little bit more in a more like curved nature, so it curves around your wrist. But this padding here is also a lot harder, which isn't bad, but it makes the glove a little bit rigid on the back, and I think that actually kind of makes it a little bit more difficult to like maneuver in some ways. But it does pinch around your wrist pretty good, but it is very hard. Like, it is pretty hard compared to what the other padding on the other back of the glove was. Like back here, this one was pretty soft actually compared to that. And then the padding here is much softer up top as well. But overall, it still feels pretty good. When we talk about the bottom part of the wrist, there's also more padding underneath the Velcro here. That's a little bit harder. It really feels like stiff hard down here. And I've had these for a while, and I've used these virtually every day. But it's still very stiff down when you have like the padding down here as well. It's your EVA foam that you get in a lot of other gloves as well. When we turn the glove around and we go to the fingers, the one thing that I noticed right off the bat when I first got them, honestly, after using them the first time, is the stitching towards the fingers really started to pop out quickly. When we came here, this one popped out a little bit. The fingers are a little bit stiffer than what it was before, which was really uncomfortable at first, but they did break in over time, and that's basically what you have throughout the thumb as well. They're all individual slits, but you have one bar, like a grip bar, to give you one form of unity, but at the end of the day, you do have reasonably independent fingers in design, but not in actual function, when I'll go into that when I put the glove on. But the thumb has your 3 splints of EVA foam there to keep your thumb nice and padded and protected, which is completely good, and I like that. And then the wrist strap, unlike the other ones by Sanabul that has a very long wrist strap, this one opens like your more traditional MMA sparring gloves, and it has that buckle on the inside here. Now, I get the metal buckle to keep everything in place, but I just wouldn't put metal in gloves because I've seen these just pop out rust and just ruin the glove immediately. That's not what you want when it comes to these gloves. And it hasn't happened with me yet, but I wish it was just like no buckle on the inside. If it was just a cloth slit, I feel like it would pinch to my arm a lot easier. The interior lining is a very nice poly cotton, similar to the other interior linings that you get with the rest of the Sanabul gloves. Feels very similar to like the Sanabul Core and Essentials, only I will say it's a little bit softer, definitely a little bit more grippy, and a better material, a lot more secure. Now when I put this back in real quick, you don't have to. You can open it up like that and then put it on, but it slides on just fine for me. And putting my fingers in, the first thing I notice is that the grip bar rolls under really tight. And then when I do this, it is kind of forcing my hands down a little bit, and it's a little bit too much. The other thing too is like my fingers just aren't really as comfortable as the other ones were, and my pinky does not come through as much as the other ones did either. So I have to really kind of crawl my fingers up here, but then my door knocking knuckles kind of come out a bit too much and make it just feel unnatural. I'm able to open and close easily, but like I said, that grip bar gets tucked really tight there, and I have to like move it around. But as far as like mobility of the fingers, it's so stiff compared to the old ones. Like I said, I've used these a lot. They're broken in. They definitely broke in from when I first got them, because when I first got them out of the box, I think in the boxing video I did, felt like I was like wielding a rock in my hand. Now it's a softer rock, I guess is the way to word it. But at the end of the day, they are a little bit stiffer in the finger compartment, and I don't like that the stitching is like coming out so much in all the fingers, and I actually had to rip one out. The other thing too is when I have this glove like closed around me, you can see down here by the wrist that's already starting to come apart as well, only after a couple months of use, and I didn't like that. I guess the one plus to this is that the Velcro patch is definitely like stitched in a lot better than the original was, because as you can see, that just flew right off. But for me, this glove was a lot more you know, loose fitting on the hand. It was a lot more flexible. It's still reasonably comfortable when you first put it on, and when you put it in a punch position is not bad, but I still don't like that my pinky, you know, doesn't really come through all the way. And I think that might be an anatomical thing, because my fingers are short, my palms are big, but at the end of the day, it's just not comfortable in that way. It's comfortable in that I'm able to fit big hand wraps on, because if you do the 2-finger rule and put 2 fingers in, if you close your hand, that's the amount of padding that you can fit into an MMA glove usually, and it definitely has good protection there. But at the end of the day, you know, it just doesn't feel quite as comfortable as the original did in that regard. But let's go ahead and go into the bag work and talk about my final thoughts after the fact. So for an MMA glove, these feels like tanks on your hands, and they honestly feel like the MMA sparring glove that is basically a boxing glove that has an exposed palm. Compared to the original one, they still feel really good on the bag. They protect your hands and wrist. Overall, keeping your hands safe is the #1 priority with this glove, but I just don't like that the padding just feels stiff compared to what the old one was, even after hours of banging on the bags. They're still very light. So when it comes to the look of these gloves, they look virtually the same as the last ones, only it's white and gold. The S grips in these, because of the overlocking padding, is still a little bit difficult, but the wrist grips you get and the underhooks, overhooks still work pretty good. Obviously, they are fatter, so it's going to be a little bit more difficult, but overall, your palm-to-palm gable grips still work really well. They look really sharp, and I think a lot of people are going to like pay homage to like the Conor McGregor gloves, the Everlast gloves that he used. I think white and gold just give people that nice like regal type feel to it. So I think overall when you use these, I think a lot of people are really going to think that you, for one, you know what you're doing, and for two, they're going to think those look really cool while you're punching your partner in the face. All right, folks, so my final verdict for the Sanabul Gold Strike MMA Puffy Sparring Gloves. In all honesty, the 2.0 version I don't think is as good as the original version. I think the only drawback about the original version is that the Velcro flew off. Otherwise, I'd be using these every day still. I absolutely love these gloves to a point to where I gave them a 10 out of 10. It just sucks that the Velcro came off that way. I can always get it stitched on, but it was such a better form-fitting glove for me in that I was able to actually grapple a lot easier in them. They are definitely much more of a puncher's glove or a striking type of glove, and it's good for that type of sparring. But for me, it's just like they kind of took the glove, and although they might have made it more durable in a lot of ways, it just kind of fell short in that it just kind of feels like it's a rock. I don't like that it's so hard. And I know what people are probably thinking, well, did you break it in properly? I have used these virtually every day since I unboxed them, whether it be for training sessions, whether it be for bag work. I brought these to my regular fitness gym with me where I hit the bag every morning for about 8 to 12 rounds, and I just use these for a week or 2 weeks in a row just to try and break them in. And for me, it just feels like they don't want to soften up that much. They didn't feel like they want to break in that much. On top of it, too, the stitching in both the finger compartments is just kind of flying off. And I don't like that about the glove at all, because that makes me feel like when I start gripping tight, and you do have to grip pretty tight, it's going to pull the finger inlets just down and really... Excuse me, and really, I guess I should stop while I'm ahead. No, I'm kidding. But when you grip down like that, I feel like the finger inlets are just going to snap off, and that's not going to be good for anyone, including me. And that's definitely something that I don't want to have happen here. The padding on the back of the glove and the original was softer. It wasn't necessarily soft, but it was softer, whereas this one just feels like it's hard as a rock. It does protect my wrist very well. But the other thing too is the Velcro strap, although stronger and definitely stitched in more, it just feels like when you pull it over, like it kind of pinches your arm more than anything, but it stays pretty flush to your wrist, and it gives you good wrist support in general, and it stays good on there, but it just doesn't feel as form-fitting as the last one. And like I said, my fingers are like just cut off in this glove, and I don't like that about that. You're able to open and close it easily, but at the same time, it's just so stiff, and I just don't like that feeling of my pinky, you know, not being able to get out and actually like grab and do things. And unlike the original ones, you know, the Velcro's kind of messed up in these, but if I can figure out a way to do it real quick. How flexible these were. Look how much my pinky comes out in this one. It's out all the way. And that's awesome. And I'm able to really open and close and move my fingers a lot more independently with the originals than I am with the 2.0s. So I don't know why the glove got so hard and got so stiff compared to the original ones here. Like I said, once I fixed the Velcro on this one, I'm going back to using these because they did just such a good job with this. But overall, when it came to these gloves, it just feels like the stitching's a lot cheaper. Like I never had the stitching fray out on these. The stitching towards the back here was always really nice and tucked in the right position. I don't know, maybe I just got a bad batch, because sometimes you can get a bad batch of gloves. You know, not every single unit you're going to buy of every glove is perfect. But for me, these were kind of a downgrade from the original. They just feel harder. in every aspect. They feel harder in the padding, and so sparring in these is still good, but it's not as good as they were before, especially when it comes to grappling in these is not as good as it was before. They're just uncomfortable, especially in the finger compartment, and I just don't like how it makes my pinkies especially feel like they're getting crushed off and the circulation is just done with the glove. I've even used Leather Honey leather conditioner, which does work on vinyl products or engineered leather products too, and it didn't soften the glove up much more than what it is now, which really sucks because I really wanted to like these gloves a lot. I like them for bag work and pads more than I do sparring, but in general, the original to me was just a better glove. So if you were going to ask me what my final verdict or what my rating would be for these, honestly, because they were just a little bit of a downgrade, I would have kept the original stuff. For me personally, I give these a 6 out of 10, and I put them in the C tier of average compared to some other MMA sparring gloves out there now. And people are going to say, why are you so harsh with the scoring? Well, it's because the original was perfect for me. I didn't want it to change, really, and in this case, they did change. A couple of MMA sparring gloves I really like over these, like the Fairtex FGV 18s, my Sami pounding gloves, the Combat Sports Max Strike. I didn't even really like these so much, but the Combat Corner, MMA sparring gloves, I actually like more than I do the 2.0 version of this glove. To me, they just made the glove bulky, stiff, and just more difficult to use instead of being as good as the originals were. I remember getting the originals and loving them right out of the bat, and they had a 10 out of 10. And maybe that score might have been too generous. Maybe an 8 or 9 out of 10 should have been for the old ones, because those gloves had some of their flaws too, but for me, they worked perfect. They were awesome for bag work. They were comfortable. They were loose on my hands. They softened up really quick. Great for sparring, and overall, just a really great glove. This glove is still great. Like I said, I might just have a weird batch of it. I don't know. Maybe I do have to break it in more, but I don't know how much more I'd have to do other than run over these with a car to get them to soften up a little bit. So I'm hoping that, like I said, it's a bad batch. I still recommend that you get them and try them out, and if they aren't your cup of tea, I'd send them back. But there is a reason why so many people, even pros, will skip using these sometimes and go for the Sanabul Essentials. Because for the 2.0 version of this compared to the Sanabul Essentials, I'd rather not pay $100 for these. I'd rather pay the $30 or $35 for the Core series compared to these. The 2.0 version of the Gold Strike was not my cup of tea, I guess, at the end of the day. So that's a bit of a sad way to end the Sanabul mini marathon, but still, I hope you enjoyed the review. As always, guys, please comment below. Let me know if I missed anything or if you have any questions. And I understand, once again, it's a bit of a harsh score in some ways, but it kind of dropped. Imagine you have like one of your favorite things ever and they just make it and crank it down, and it makes it worse, and therefore you're like, well, what was wrong with the original one? What really did they have to change? But like I said, they have guys like Sugar Sean O'Malley and Max Holloway, Alex Bejeda using these, so maybe that works perfect for them. I don't know. Like I said, I'd like to think I just got a bad batch, but who knows? But with that said, guys, once again, thank you so much for watching this video. Like I said, comment below if I missed anything or if you have any questions. Like, comment, and subscribe. Hit that notification bell. I so appreciate it, because a small little click for you means a lot for me, and I so appreciate that. We're already at 8.75 thousand subscribers. We're going to get to the 9,000 subscriber mark sometime soon, hopefully, and eventually we will get to that 10,000 subscriber mark, and it's all because of you guys. With that said, too, follow me on all my social media pages. Send me some messages if you like to, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. And as always, I appreciate you for choosing your source for combat sports. I hope you enjoyed the Sanabul Mini Marathon. Let's go back to some other brands now. With that said, guys, thank you so much for watching this episode, and I'll see you on the next video. Have a great day, everybody.